There are stories that sound like urban legends, tales whispered on the internet about secret labs, government projects, and experiments that went too far. Most of them are fiction, but sometimes they're not. What you're about to hear was recovered from an encrypted drive found during the demolition of an abandoned research facility in Maryland. The file had no author, no date, and no signature. Just one word in the title, HYPERION. Some say it's fake a creepypasta, a story made to scare the curious. But others claim the events described match a classified research project that vanished without explanation. I'll let you decide for yourself. Just don't listen to this in the dark. And whatever you do, don't try to see what they saw. My name doesn't matter. At least, not anymore. For 5 years, I worked as a research associate at the Eisen-Lloyd Perception Laboratory, a small government-funded facility tucked away in Maryland. We specialized in studying human cognition, specifically how the brain interprets and constructs visual reality. It sounds complex, but in simple terms, we try to understand how people see the world and how the world might change when they see it differently. For most of my career, I believed that line of work was harmless, safe, the kind of science that never left the page or the screen. We weren't building weapons or designing viruses. We were studying light and color. But looking back now, I realize how naive that was. The danger was never in what we created. It was in what we revealed. It started with an anomaly, a stray frequency picked up by one of our spectral imaging scanners. It was just a flicker in the data, a wavelength that didn't fit into the known electromagnetic spectrum. We thought it was a sensor glitch. I even remember joking about it, telling the team that the machine was getting bored. But the frequency kept reappearing. Every simulation, every calibration. There it was. Dr. Mira Lang, our lead researcher, became obsessed with it. She believed it wasn't an error, but a form of light that existed just outside human perception. We couldn't see it, not because it wasn't there, but because the human brain simply wasn't wired to process it. That was the beginning of what we later called HYPERION. It wasn't a color in the normal sense. It wasn't red or blue or green, or even something between them. It was outside of them, beyond the edge of the visual spectrum. And yet, when we simulated it through spectral interference patterns, it appeared on our monitors. The moment I saw it, my mind froze. My eyes couldn't name it, couldn't categorize it. And yet, I knew I was looking at something real. My brain felt like it was rearranging itself just to make sense of it. Lang laughed when she first saw it. A new color, she said. We should name it after the Titan of Light. And so it became HYPERION. At first it was exciting. We'd done something that felt impossible. We'd extended human sight. But the longer we observed it, the stranger it became. The color seemed to move on its own, even when the image was static. You'd see shapes flickering in your peripheral vision, figures that vanished the moment you tried to look directly at them. Some people described it as breathing. Others said it made the room feel smaller, like the walls were closing in. I didn't trust it. Not because I was superstitious, but because it violated everything we knew about physics. Light doesn't move like that. Color doesn't think like that. I told Lang we needed to slow down, to test it more before we exposed anyone, even animals. But she didn't listen. None of them did. The first trials were done on rats. We projected the HYPERION frequency through modified lenses and observed their behavior. The results were inconsistent. Some of them froze in place, staring into the projection for hours. Others panicked, clawing at their cages until their paws bled. One chewed through its own leg. Lang called it neurological overstimulation. I called it a warning. When I tried to shut the project down, Lang brushed me off. "It's just light," she said. "They're animals. Their brains can't comprehend it the way we can." Then she smiled a tired, reckless smile and added, "We'll get better results with human cognition." That's when I realized she'd already scheduled human trials. I should have quit right then. I should have called the ethics board, the press, someone. But I didn't, because part of me still wanted to know what it was. 10 volunteers, all students from the nearby university. Each was paid a small stipend and told they'd be part of a perception study. They were placed in a dark room, one at a time, and shown HYPERION for 5 minutes. At first, it seemed fine. Some said it was beautiful. Others said it was strange. One girl, I still remember her name, Lydia, started crying. When we asked her why, she just whispered, "It's everything. It's always been everything." That phrase stuck with me. I wrote it down in my notes, thinking I'd ask her later what she meant. I never got the chance. 2 days later, one of the participants, a physics student named Elliot, called me at 2 a.m. He was crying, hyperventilating. He said he could still see it, even in the dark, even with his eyes closed. "It's there," he whispered. "It's in everything. It's behind my eyes now." He hung up. Campus security found him the next morning. He was standing barefoot in the middle of the street, staring at the sky. His eyes were burned out. He wasn't screaming or thrashing. He was calm, peaceful even. Lung called it a coincidence. I called it murder. But the experiments didn't stop. The final human trial began a week later. 4 subjects each strapped into biometric chairs, monitors, tracking every heartbeat, every neural pulse. I didn't want to be there, but I stayed, because by then, I had to know. When the test began, the monitors filled with data, everything normal at first. Then 10 minutes in their vitals started to drift. Pupil dilation froze, breathing slowed, and then one by one, their brainwave patterns began to shift, not erratically, but deliberately, as if something was rewriting them. At 15 minutes, the first subject went limp. The second followed moments later. Lung ordered the test shut down, but the remaining 2, James and Julia, stayed alive. Their hearts beat, their eyes were open, but their minds were gone. The next morning, the government arrived. Suits, security, unmarked trucks. They shut down the lab, seized our data, and told us Eisen-Lloyd would be repurposed. We were each given non-disclosure agreements and warned never to speak of what happened. We didn't argue, not because we were afraid, but because no one wanted to talk about it. Long disappeared from academia soon after. Some of the others found new jobs. Most just faded away. I tried to move on consulting for a tech startup, pretending to have a normal life. But the guilt stayed. And sometimes, when I closed my eyes, I'd see that color again, faint, pulsing, like it was waiting. Then months later, Lang called me. It was past midnight. Her voice was shaking. "I need to see you," she said. Now, when I got to her apartment, she looked hollow, like she hadn't slept in days. There were printouts all over the floor, brain scans, data charts, maps of constellations. She showed me a scan from one of the last surviving subjects, taken days before the shutdown. At first, it looked like static. But then I noticed the pattern. It wasn't random. The neural activity formed a shape, a repeating one. Lang switched to another slide, a star map. The pattern matched perfectly. She looked at me, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't think we discovered Hyperion," she said. "I think it discovered us." I told her she was insane, that she was seeing patterns where there were none, but she wasn't listening. She turned her laptop toward me again, this time showing a file directory. Dozens of image links, forum threads, archive mirrors. "It's out," she said. "The sequence. Someone leaked it online." I didn't believe her until I saw the headlines. News reports from Tokyo, London, New York. People collapsing in front of their screens, eyes wide unresponsive. No struggle, no sound, just stillness. Then they started walking. Into traffic. Into the ocean. Into forests and empty buildings vanishing without a trace. Lang whispered, "It's spreading." And for the first time, I saw real terror in her eyes. Within 24 hours, the world changed. The video appeared everywhere, forums, dark web archives, even TikTok. People watched it out of curiosity, disbelief, or arrogance. They didn't scream. They didn't fight. They just stopped. Governments tried to shut down the servers, but it was too late. You can't delete a color once it's been seen. Long tried to find a solution. She locked herself away, monitoring feeds, running simulations. Then one night, she stopped answering calls. When I went to her apartment, the door was open. The laptop was still running. The last thing on her screen was a single frame of the Hyperion sequence, flickering softly, like it was breathing. Lang was gone. And I think she walked somewhere she couldn't come back from. Now the streets are empty. The world is quiet. The sky looks wrong, like the light itself is tired. I haven't seen another person in days. Maybe they've all gone to the same place. Maybe they've all seen it. I keep the curtains closed. I don't touch my phone. I don't turn on the TV. But I still see it when I blink. That color, that impossible, beautiful living color. It's not in the light anymore. It's inside us. I hear Lang's voice, sometimes faint, like a memory caught between channels. It's everything she says. It's always been everything. And I think she's right. Because when I close my eyes, I see Hyperion. And when I open them, I think it's starting to see me back. If you've made it this far, maybe you're wondering what happened next. Maybe you're curious enough to search for it, to see if the Hyperion sequence ever made its way online. Maybe you've already opened a new tab. Don't. If there's one thing this story should have taught you, it's that some discoveries aren't meant to be found. Some colors aren't meant to be seen. Because once you've looked into it, it starts looking back. This has been NightLore. Sleep well if you still can.